Most women are exhausted because they show up for other people often, whether it's answering their phone calls, replying to their WhatsApp messages, or attending events. I remember one time I woke up to 10 WhatsApp messages left by a friend going through a relationship issue. And it happened enough times where I would wake up to messages, whether it's voice notes or text, that I eventually recommended therapy to her because it became too much. I was a divorcee, I have a young child, and other responsibilities. And I think sometimes, you want to support a friend, especially if you're close to them and love them. But in this situation, the right thing for me to do was to suggest professional help. And also, I started to reply later in the day. We as women get tired, and sometimes it's not even because your life is hard. You can just, be fine. But it's because there are things or people asking for emotional or mental energy. Sometimes it's the job, you're physically tired from that. Things like group chats and people always talking in there. Family members asking for money, the black tax, work conversations, the social media stuff you're paying too much attention to. All of these things can be tiring. It's showing up, replying, making yourself too available. And then you wonder why you feel tired. So this video is not about um isolating yourself. It's about becoming more selective because when you stop showing up for everyone, things will change in your life. The first thing is availability creates expectation. The more accessible you are, the more people expect your presence. And the thing is, what they expect of you, are they giving you that? Probably not. When you answer every call, people stop considering whether it's urgent. You pick up and they just start talking as if you have 20 minutes to be on the phone. I always appreciate, the friends who message me first before they call, asking if it's okay to call. When you're emotionally available on demand, some people look up to you. They look to you for help and they're not regulating themselves. And I think too much availability trains people, even in romantic relationships. Constant access, especially when dating, it lowers your perceived value because you become predictable. And being predictable removes tension, which is going to affect the desire the other person has for you. If I know you'll respond immediately, if I know you will show up no matter what, then am I really respecting your time? And I think that sometimes the reason people don't respect your time is because um you've never made them feel the absence of it. Start showing up for everything. You don't need to go to all the events. You can reply to a message the next day. Let there be inconvenience. The second thing is that overextending yourself will leave you drained. Don't be the one to always check in. Is anyone checking in on you? I asked the question earlier in terms of reciprocity. And sometimes we're tired because we're given more. Does anyone know about, your mental health? If you are always the one initiating things, in terms of your relationship dynamics, if you're always the one checking in, that's not the best dynamic. You need to pull back, allow space. Now, there's silence. Now there's curiosity. Is she okay? What's she doing? Nothing changed except you using your energy better. You don't need to update everyone. You don't need to attend everything. You don't need to be constantly visible on social media to be relevant because really that also is tiring. For me personally, I haven't posted on Instagram in a long time. I think, yeah, like more than 2 years. I think I mentioned in another video that I started this YouTube channel because of the gap of not posting on IG. So, it freed up time and space. And guess what? People, including some notable people, are still following me. Scarcity, it may feel uncomfortable, but it can also build presence. You should also stop showing up for people emotionally, especially if they wouldn't do the same for you. Emotional labor is invisible. Yeah, we could see, physical labor and so on, but us as women, emotional labor also, comes at a cost. This is what I think that a lot of women struggle with. We listen, we advise, we empathize, and because you do it well, people assume it costs you nothing. But it does. Emotional labor is invisible currency. And just because you can handle something doesn't mean that you should. Sometimes you are simply too convenient. Being needed is not the same as respected. And when you start being emotionally available on demand, watch how quickly people solve their own problems. The fourth thing is withdrawal will bring clarity to the relationships in your life. When you take a step back, you'll see who steps forward. You think pulling back will cause problems, but what it actually does is reveal people's character. If you don't initiate, who does? If you don't attend, who notices you're not there? Some dynamics only exist because the woman is the active person. So pull back and collect data. I think you'll learn who really values you, who benefits more than they contribute in terms of your relationship, who respects boundaries. Some friends and family members will fade away, and some will surprise you because they come looking to see how you're doing. So, what this means is that the connection was built on your effort. The people who don't call or who you don't see. You're not going to see this clearly unless you pause for a while in terms of how you normally interact with people. Finally, you'll see that your energy increases because now you're reacting to less and your focus is more on you. When you give less access, you reclaim important attention, which is your own attention. Don't minimize the importance of your attention. You and I know that if you were to cut out all the distractions for 1 month, I know a lot of us try to do it or think about doing it and don't, but if you were to really cut out all distractions for 1 month, how much momentum would you have? That's how powerful your attention is. Companies are becoming rich off of people's attention. So, anyway, you'll have more time, you'll feel calmer. And I'm not talking about, as I said earlier, isolating yourself. I'm talking about selective access or no access for some people. Become selective about everything. Where you go, about people. We've seen the problems women face when they're not selective, especially if they're married to someone. You need to reduce unnecessary access. That's my point. And FYI, you don't need a social media statement. You don't need to explain your new boundaries to people. Just adjust your availability. Take longer to respond. Decline the invitation. End that conversation sooner. Stop filling in the silence. I'm going to, I remember like when I was in my 20s, and I had a good friend, and I even spent a night at her house a few times, but we began talking less. Now, I don't know if this happened before or after the car accident. I think it was before, but anyway, we went out, and another friend of hers had come from out of town. I'm not sure who the driver was, but they had to go get something, and they had left the three of us in the car, me, her friend, and my friend. So she was in the front, me and her friend were in the back seat, and the radio was off. And this is in the early 2000s, so before cell phones became popular, and teenagers have phones. So the three of us sat in the car for about 15 minutes. She didn't say anything, so I didn't say anything. Her friend didn't say anything since we're not talking. So we were like strangers. So in my mind, that friendship phase was a thing of the past. Keep your mouth shut for 5 minutes. when you're with someone and watch what happens. How do you feel? Can you be in the same space and feel comfortable around them? Or are you feeling uncomfortable? Are you feeling tension? You're not going to know certain things unless you take a pause, unless you pull back. So to wrap things up, stop showing up for everyone. Showing up with your words, your emotions, your presence. Take a pause, and people will show themselves. And when they do, believe what you see. Consider this information, not instruction. If it was useful, share it with a friend and subscribe. That's all for today.